we live in a world where there's an infinite amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's, in fact, I'll tell you a fact, there's like, last time I looked, there's like 1.3 quadrillion dollars in circulation. So to put that in perspective, that's enough for every single person in the world to be multimillionaires. Wow. So and here's a good thing, like, the money's already out there. It's not only for you to make the money. You can't make money. Banks and the government make money.
Mm-hmm.
The money's already in circulation. So all you've got to do is work out, okay, what value do I need to give to get my fair share, essentially? And the way what I've had to do growing up, I've had to remove my like the money myths. I've had to unlearn the money myths.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, money doesn't grow on trees. That creates like a scarcity mindset around money. Money's the root of all evil. And a lot of the things as well, a lot of the money myths are based on other people's opinions and their own like beliefs about money, not yours.
So what is going on, guys? I'm back with another episode of Visionation Success Stories podcast. Today, my guest is Mr. Shaun Davis. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, bro. Pleasure to be here as well.
Yeah, you said a lot of good things about this building. You happy to be here?
Yeah, man, it's really nice.
Yeah, you had a long day today. I saw your Instagram story that you're tagging me in today.
Yeah, man, busy. Every day is we're just going to get it, man. Like I've been saying like last 3 months of the year, championship rounds of the year.
Yeah.
Like compared to boxing, so it's like we're just going hard on our goals, man. Every minute counts at the moment. So
yeah. So for the viewers that don't know who you are, brief introduction to yourself.
Cool. So Shaun Davis, property investor, specialising in a strategy called rent to rent. That's how I started the business 4 years ago, and now we're like do social housing. So that's me.
Okay, amazing. So when you mentioned that you started with rent to rent. So when you started, was you like working elsewhere, or how did you get into property itself?
Yeah, cool. Good question. So I used to do car sales. I was working for BMW beforehand. I really liked it. It was really good. The issue is I needed to be there to make the money. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a quote by Warren Buffett, and it basically says, if you don't find a way to make a living while you sleep, so if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you'll work until you die.
Yeah. And
that really resonated with me. So I thought, okay, what can I do to make money passively? And the way forward was property. Like a lot of people, went on YouTube, done a bit of research. Originally, I was thinking about buying, start off with. But the issue is I didn't know about HMOs or service accommodation or supported housing, supported accommodation. So I was looking at buying a property like a bog standard buy to let. And when I done the maths wasn't mathing. Like I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to save £70,000, and then from there I'm going to need to obviously got all the other fees, solicitors' fees and things like that. And then the rent that I'm going to get, I thought, is that really the best way of putting my money to use? So when I discovered rent to rent, it was like a game changer. For those that don't know what rent to rent is, essentially what we do, we find landlords, tied landlords essentially, and we basically lease their house. Commercial lease, like you think of like a building like hotel, or I don't know, like a food chain store. You know, they don't buy the building, they work with a property developer and they lease the building on a commercial lease for like 5 to 10 years, I think, something like that. And that's what we do, but we do it on a residential property. So we commercial lease it when we give the landlord a guaranteed rent. So the landlord doesn't have to worry about any sort of voids, property maintenance, tenant queries, tenant issues or anything like that. We cover a lot, and then we then put our own money into the property, refurb it, and then get our own tenant. So the tenants beforehand, well, we still got probably half of our portfolio still working professionals, but lately in the last year we've pivoted and gone into social housing.
Okay, so you mentioned that you started with rent to rent. So did you delve into the SA bit as well, or is it just straight into HMOs?
Yes, yeah. So funny enough, I started, my very first year was an SA. Now I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with SA because I know you guys are smashing it, and SA is a fantastic strategy, but for me personally, it can be PTSD. So what I found with SA was that, so for instance, when I was working at BMW, I was doing really well. It was a highly commissioned job and commission-based job, and I had to low basic, and I had to like every month it was almost like I started on a blank canvas. So I always in my back of my mind, even though I was doing really well, I used to always be thinking, well, what happens if next month, like no one comes in, no one buys a car, this, that, and the other. And when I first started doing essays, it was the same sort of scenario. So like I was doing really well, the business was making money, but I kept thinking of what happens if next month I don't have any bookings, what happens if things slow down. And because I wanted to be in a situation where I wanted financial security, I wanted to be able to leave my job and do this full time, I didn't want that risk. So for me personally, going into and pivoting to the HMOs, whereas the tenants are there for like minimum 6 months, it gave me that financial security. Now with HMOs, you don't have the cash flow potential, because it's like, if you're making £700 per month, for instance, you're only ever going to make £700 per month. Until if the tenant moves out, then you might want to increase the rent a little bit. Whereas essays, every month could be different. You can make £700 one month, you can make £1,200 next month, or depending on what's going on. So it doesn't have the cash flow potential. However, I find that it just gave me that sense of financial security that I needed.
So in terms of HMOs, when you have your tenants, do they cause you a lot of issues, or they don't cause a lot of issues? Because obviously in essays, we discussed it before, like you have to respond to, you have to sort out issues straight away because they're not your tenant. But in HMOs you might be given a bit more leniency. So.
Exactly, and that was a benefit. So I remember like I'd be out with like a family meal, or be like a weekend away or whatever, and like a guest would text me. I'd be like stressing, thinking, I've got to stop what I'm doing right now to respond to this guest. Now with HMOs, different. If someone, they're not on holiday, it's their house. If someone, if they've got an issue, I can respond and give them like a 24-hour window or a 12-hour window, depending on what time of day it is, or what day it is. So yeah, I like the fact of that as well. You do get the similar sort of issues with HMOs, like in terms of sometimes, if you've got a bunch of students, they might want to have parties and things like that. But it's very easy to sort of, like get rid of that problem essentially. You can put things in place, like we have like minute monitors, ring doorbells as well, similar to what you might do on essays. And you tend to find 99% of your tenants that are respectful, because in the day it's their place of home as well. So
yeah, because they live in there. But in case that kind of stuff does happen, like if someone does throw a party or like damages property, like what's kind of like your process to go through? Because I know it's different for essay. Like what would you do when you have like a long-term tenant?
Yeah, well, you can take out their deposit for one as well, or we invoice them. So if they break something, we invoice them. And one of the things we do now as well, we have cameras in the communal areas of the property. So that then again, that just cuts out a lot of the rubbish that you get in terms of what can happen sometimes.
So if you have like a guest, or a tenant, and they're like late on their rent and stuff, and you have to go through like an eviction process, how does that work? Because I know there's different laws and stuff involved in that. It's
a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. That is the biggest con about HMOs as opposed to SAs. With SAs, you obviously get paid up front. With HMOs, there's so much tenant laws. And realistically, for me personally, the way I like to do it is effective communication. So if a tenant's not paying, rather than me taking them to court, and the court process is just a long-winded process, you've got to get an eviction specialist ideally as well, because if you get it wrong and you evict them the wrong way and you haven't got the right documents, you're in trouble basically. So to get an eviction specialist and basically do it that way and take them to court, it's going to cost you around £1,500. Then you're going to wait to get into court, which can take 8 to 10 weeks minimum. So the cost of it is at least like £2,500, depending on what your rent is, which is obviously a lot of money. Now what I do is effective communication. So if a tenant's not paying, I will say, look, what can we do to facilitate your move? Like, firstly, find out what the issue is. What can we do to help? So if you lost your job, okay, well, let's look to see if we can, apply for some benefits, universal credit, while you find your job. Or the other option is, if you wanted to move out and find somewhere cheaper, we can sort of facilitate that as well. And if money's the issue, then we can sort of help towards that as well. Because in the end of the day, it's going to cost cheap. It's going to be cheaper rather than going through court and getting an eviction specialist. So I have the stance of trying to work with the tenant rather than trying to work against them.
Yeah, makes them more inclined to listen as well.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, because I know there's like different like laws involved because they live there, so it'll be harder to get them out.
100%.
In terms of like SA, they don't live there, so it's easy to throw them out. They're not the actual tenant.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yes, that's definitely a benefit with SAs.
So in terms of your HMOs, where did you start them, and how did you scale them as fast as you did?
Yeah, man. So good question. So started off in Wolverhampton. Started off going to like direct to vendor, so going direct to the landlord, leafleting. That worked really well for me. But I always say it's very important to build relationships with agents. One agent, the right agent, can literally change your life. Like, that's how powerful it is. Someone who understands the model, understands what you're doing, trusts what you're doing. It can be a game changer. We've got one agent who's given us 11 properties. So just that alone, you know, it's decent money. And that's just because we've built a good relationship. They gave us one. They said that we was reliable, we was trustworthy, we paid on time. We didn't trash the place. We did what we said we was going to do in the time frame that we said we was going to do it with him. And then from there, it's just been giving us more properties every other month, basically. It's been that's been good. So we started off with that. Then we pivoted and we moved to Birmingham and expanded there. And we've got a few properties in Coventry as well. But our main base is Wolverhampton, Birmingham, and the way we've got the properties is mainly through landlords. I'll probably say 70% has been direct to vendor, so doing leafleting. That's worked really well for us. And then the other 30% has been through agents.
Okay, so how many properties do you currently have in your
portfolio? About 33 now.
Okay.
33 properties and about 300 rooms.
300 rooms, wow. Yeah. So that's like 300 tenants?
Yeah.
Wow. So you got through a lot of agents and through landlords, and obviously you scale so quick. There must be a lot of stuff behind that, such as your branding and your company. So what did you do in terms of that to grow it and show that you are reliable, other than obviously what you've shown an agent, but someone else that's you're going to? What would you like show them? Like, how do they know that you're going to be reliable? Yeah,
it's a good question, and I feel like people buy it off you because of you. So you could have a great product or service, but if your energy is not good, if they don't have the trust, if they don't see the conviction, if you're selling a product and you don't really look that confident in what you're selling, and I'm gonna have doubts as the client, and as soon as the agent doubts you or the landlord doubts you, they're not going to go with you. You can have the best product or service, and it proves it because I've had like other companies. Let's say, for instance, me and especially when I first started, and it might be like a big company with loads of properties. We've both gone in together. The landlords have told me they've offered them more money and they've gone with me. Now you're gonna ask yourself, why would they go with me? And that's the question that I always ask the landlords, because I'm always very intrigued to see, like, why did you choose me over someone else, essentially. And it's always because, you know, I gave them more conviction. They just looked at me and said, you know what, this guy's going to do whatever it takes to get the job done, and he's not going to let me down, essentially. So coming across trustworthy, and just doing what you say you're going to do, and just having that sort of clear communication as well. And here's the thing as well, like, people don't need to believe in what you're saying. They need to believe you believe in what you're saying. Yeah. So that's the difference. And once they believe that, once you can say, you know what, this guy really believes in the product and the service that he's delivering, it's like, okay, yeah, like, I'm going to believe it too. Whereas if you don't believe it yourself, then like it's one of those. Yeah,
100%. So, like, the landlords that you've got are people that you've, like, agents you've got. Did you get any of them through like your social presence, or were they all like direct to vendor?
All direct to vendor, actually. I haven't really got any through. So tell a lie, yeah, I've got 2 through like social media and things like that. But what you tend to find, and what's really worked well for me, it's almost like a spiral effect. So once you get one, you get word of mouth, and an agent's recommended me to another agent, a landlord's recommended me to another landlord, and it's just happened like that. And I'm very fortunate now that I've built very good relationships that I now get agents calling me. So for instance, even like as of yesterday, I had an agent called me and said, look, I'm going to view a property now. This is the area. I know it's one of your like gold mine areas. This is a 6-bed property. What was your offer? And do you want it? I'm like, yeah. Gave him the offer. So it works out well for the agent because they get to go to the property with and they've already closed the deal already with a company and a long-term tenant. So it's a game changer for them as well. So yeah, that's been really good for me.
Okay. Yeah. So it must have been quite difficult. The first one that you had must have gone through a lot of rejections, right?
Oh man, like ridiculous, man. And that's one of the things. Like for anyone that follows me on social media, like I'm very big on mindset. Mindset is everything, and you need to have a good relationship with failure to get into. And that's any business, not just a property business, any business. Failure is a part of success. And there's been times where I've sat down and I've I'm gonna call like 50 agents. I'm not moving until I get a yes, basically. And that's the sort of mindset you're gonna have. And if someone says no, and going back to that point, actually, you've got to have a mindset of abundance. So the way I see it and the way I sell, look, if you don't want the product or the service, it's fine, because there's thousands of other properties, there's thousands of other landlords, there's thousands of other opportunities. You can't run out of opportunities. So whereas if you don't have that sort of abundance mindset, and that's with anything you like, that's with money as well, you develop this scarcity mindset, and that will hinder your success.
Okay, interesting. So you talk a lot about mindset. I know you've got like a academy, right? What is it called?
Yeah, the High Performance Academy.
Okay, what do you exactly do in that?
Yeah, man. So the slogan is Elevate Your Mind, Health and Wealth. So it was a platform, a community that I created, I think it was like June last year. And the whole reason I created it was made specifically for entrepreneurs, because being an entrepreneur, it can be lonely. And we're all going for the same things. Do you know what I mean? Especially when you're in property, you go for the same issues. And I just wanted to create a platform where we could always help each other. So like a private WhatsApp group, there's a private Facebook community as well. But also we can learn and elevate together and have open, transparent conversations. And that's what it's about. So we really get into like some deep conversations. We have breakout rooms. We have special guests. We have masterminds every couple of weeks. And yeah, it's been a game changer. And one of my biggest wins for the academy is, there's a few people that have met each other through the academy, and they started a business together, and they've actually started an SA business. They've got their first SA deal now as well. So that was the vision. It was about bringing people together, so we can elevate, our mind, health, and wealth. Yeah.
So your ultimate goal of that was to allow people to elevate themselves, or as a community?
100%, yeah. Allow people to elevate themselves, really, and give people the platform where they can get the help and support that they need. Because, when you're a business director, sometimes you feel like there's no one to talk to. And here's the thing as well, like as a director and as a leader, you're constantly pouring into other people. But it comes to the point where if you think about the cup, if you're pouring the glass and the water into another glass, well, guess what happens? Your glass becomes empty. So you've got to think to yourself as a leader, what are you doing to replenish your water? And that's the way I think in my mindset, and that's why I'm very big on personal development, developing, just working on myself, because I'm pouring into everyone else, but I need to make sure that I'm pouring into myself as well. Then, as a result, I can be more effective to everyone else around me.
Okay, so in your academy, do you have mostly like entrepreneurs that are just like starting off, or like in their journey? Do you have like people that are just starting off? Because that's a lot of the reason why I made this podcast, is for people that are just starting off and they're not unsure what to do. They're trying to find their path, and they're just trying to see like where they can go, or they just need a little bit of inspiration, a bit of motivation. So do you have like people like that in your group, or trying to inspire? Loads
of new starters. Loads of new starters in there. We've got people of all sorts of different stages of the entrepreneurial journey. So whether you're beginner, intermediate or advanced, we try and appeal to all entrepreneurs, really.
Okay, yeah, it's quite interesting, because I feel like that's the hardest bit, just the consistency and the starting off. Like people need, they either need something or someone to like follow to be able to get there. And I know one thing you said in the event last time about the thermometer thing.
Yes, yeah.
You want to explain that again, please?
Yeah, man. So basically, there's like a you think about the way a thermostat works. It regulates the temperature in a room. So let's say, for instance, this room's set on like a 21. What would happen if the temperature drops below 21? The heating would kick on. It would kick in, and the room would like warm up. It would get hotter. Now, if you didn't do the work to raise it, let's say the room was like a 25 now, because the heating's kicking, it's 25. Yeah. If you didn't do the work to actually get up and turn the thermostat and set it at 25, what would happen is that the temperature, so the thermostat would think, okay, it's too hot in here now, I'm going to turn the chillers on and bring it right back down to where you've set it at.
Yeah.
And our money mindset is exactly the same as that. So what happens is, let's say for instance you're earning, let's say for instance you earn like £2,000 a month. That's your money thermostat, yeah? £2,000 a month. If you earn less than £2,000 a month, and let's say you earn like £1,200, what you'll find is that the next month you'll do whatever it takes. You'll go out, you'll be closing deals, you won't be scared of rejection, you'll be taking risks because you want to make it happen. And then let's say for instance the next month you earn like 2,200, you're a little bit over, you end up turning the chillers on. But what you've got to do, you've got to raise your thermostat and understand that, you know what, I can do more, I can perform consistently at this level. And the way you raise your thermostat is by, networking, the people you surround yourself with, reading books, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube and watching in educational stuff. And it's just self-education in general. I mean, as a result, you get to work on yourself, raise your thermostat, so every month you can perform consistently at that higher level.
Yeah, that's a very good analogy and makes a lot of sense when I first heard it, when you said it.
Yeah.
One thing you speak a lot about is money mindset and money myths. So what's your take on, like wealth and making money, stuff like that?
Yeah, man, good question. I feel like we live in a world where there's an infinite amount of money. Like, in fact, I'll tell you a fact, there's like, last time I looked, there's like 1.3 quadrillion dollars in circulation. So to put that in perspective, that's enough for every single person in the world to be multimillionaires. Wow. So, and here's a good thing, like, the money's already out there. It's not only for you to make the money. You can't make money. Banks and the government make money. The money's already in circulation. So all you've got to do is work out, okay, what value do I need to give to get my fair share, essentially? And the way what I've had to do growing up, I've had to remove my the money myths. I've had to unlearn the money myths. Yeah. So like, money doesn't grow on trees. That creates like a scarcity mindset around money. Money's the root of all evil. And a lot of the things as well, a lot of the money myths are based on other people's opinions and their own beliefs about money, not yours. So they've stemmed it onto you, but you've got to go through a process of unlearning that and understand that, you know what, we want to have an abundance mindset with money. Because the reality is, if you don't do the work behind the scenes to unlearn all that, what will happen is that you will actually hinder your success. Because when you get money, you'll find a way to get rid of it. If you think money is the root of all evil, you'll find a way to get rid of it. Yeah. Whereas the reality is, money has no feelings. So money doesn't judge. Money goes to those who basically value it. And once you understand the way it moves, the way it works, the way you can multiply it, the compound effect, it's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, that's interesting. The one you mentioned about the myth about money being the root of all evil. So in terms of that, like, what do you think? Like, if it's, I think you mentioned it before, like someone, like if they're that's the kind of person they are, the money will just bring it out of them. That's
it. Yeah, that's a good point. So money doesn't change who you are. It fuels more of who you already are.
Yeah.
So if you're a bad person before, like, you're gonna be just even worse. Like, you'll be more money. If you're a gambler or drug addict, if you've got more money, that's not gonna save it at all. You're gonna gamble even more. You're gonna do even more drugs. But if you're a good person, you're like giving to charity and you're a giver and you're very kind and courteous, you'll be all more. It's gonna bring up more of those things, and that's what people don't understand about money. And the reality is, you know what, like, a lot of people say money's not important, but the reality is it is important, because if you're a good person and you want to help people, you need money. Like, if you want to start a school, if you want to start a charity,
Yeah,
you need money. These are things that come out of thin air. You're gonna need money. So it's one of those things where you can't give up on it, because you don't hear rich people talk about money. And if the ones that do say, there are some people like Tony Robbins say, oh, money's not important, but guess what? It's because they've got enough of it already. But my take on it, if it's not important, you don't see them giving it all away.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
do you feel like, so for yourself personally, you say like obviously money, you have to have a money mindset and everything, so is there a point where you think you'll reach but you'll keep wanting, or there'll be a point where you'll reach where you will be content with the money you have, or are you content? So how do you what's your take on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And you know what, it's a bit of a weird one. I feel like I'm constantly raising the goalposts, and I feel like already, like I'm at the point where I've got a financial goal that I want to hit, but I feel like I don't focus on the money, and I think that's why I know that I'll do well when it comes to money, because when money is at the forefront of your mind, what happens is you forget about what's really important. What's really important is helping people, giving value. And for me, I've got this value first mentality, whereas I just want to give value. And as a result, if you give value to enough people and you serve enough people, the money will come to you anyway.
Yeah.
So I try not to think about the money, to be honest with you. I think about how can I help people? How can I serve more people? And then as a result, your reward, you deserve to get. If you look at the word deserve. Yeah. So like if you serve, you then deserve. Like that's your reward. That's the way it works. So you will get rewarded essentially. The more, and you look at people like Jeff Bezos. Like the reason why he's one of the richest men in the world, because he's serving more people. And the way I look at it, if someone's earning more money than me, it's because they're serving more people. It's because they're giving more value to the world than I am. And if I want to earn more money, rather than making it complicated, it's just, I need to get out there and serve more people and give more value.
Do you have like a long-term goal in terms of, do you want to just keep making money and becoming successful, or obviously you mentioned you like helping people, so is there like a goal in that kind of sense? Yeah,
so right now my goal is to, I can't really look past this goal at the moment. I'm just that tunnel vision on it is 400 rooms, which is 400 tenants. And since we started the social housing, it's been a game changer, because it's almost like gives me more purpose, because we're housing homeless people. We genuinely get people saying, like, texting, emailing, saying, Shaun, like, you changed our life. And that's such a good thing. We're housing homeless people. I'm big on mindset, so we put people through our support program. It's like a support plan, and through that we focus a lot on mindset. We focus on like, the biggest thing that we get is anxiety and depression. We talk about that a lot as well. We're trying to help them to overcome that through through and get through the obstacles as well. So my goal right now is just to get 400 rooms and help 400 people, and then from there, once I achieve that at the end of the year, I'll then push the goalpost higher and higher.
Yeah, social housing, that's like a really big thing, and one thing that I, very like interested in, because one of the main reasons of this podcast as well is like helping people, and I really like getting guests on here that are, giving back to the community and making it like a positive change in the community. Like, okay, like, you want to make money, but as you said, not everything's about money. It's about creating the change in the community. So you mentioned you have like schemes to offer them and stuff. Is it like, if they're like, struggling with like any sort of thing, you give them like a service? Is that how it works?
Exactly, yeah. So we target homeless people and people that have low level mental health needs. So the main issue that we face is depression, anxiety, and you know what? It's mad. Like you can mindset it's such a thing where when you talk about mindset and you help them overcome it, they can overcome it very quickly by focusing on what they can control rather than what they can't control. Just by doing simple steps like that seems to help as well with them overcome it. But they go through an in-depth program with us, lasts up to 12 weeks, and then we review it and see like what's their progress and what's the next steps and how can we go from there.
Okay, so you can like help them get their lives back on track, basically. So like you want to work towards like getting like job interviews and stuff like that.
100%. 100%. And then that's what it is. Like, we help them with job interviews, we help them with CV writing as well. And the whole idea of it is that they can go in and move on into independent living.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so have you had any like tenants so far that maybe from the first few social housing ones that have been like that kind of story, you know, where they've come up and you've helped them, you know, just provided a platform for them to just, you know, elevate themselves.
Loads.
And you know, like they're in jobs and stuff now. Like, well,
we had a guy. In fact, we've had two guys actually in the last couple of months that have moved out now, and one of them, he came and he was sleeping on the beach. He was from Cornwall.
Okay.
Was it Cornwall? Either Cornwall or Bournemouth, somewhere like that. And he was sleeping on the beach for like 5 days. Didn't have nowhere to live. He came. He got family in Birmingham. He came to us. He's now moved on. Another guy that was sleeping in his car for a few weeks, literally on the streets.
Yeah.
And again with him, we helped him. He's now moved on. That got a job. He's moved on. He's got his missus, partner.
Nice.
He's got his own house now, and everything's going well. And you know what? It's really nice. Like, you know, occasionally we do, even when they move out, because, you know, we help these people and we do keep in touch with them. And it's nice to hear that, you know, they've moved on and everything's still going well as well. So, yeah, man, there's been loads of like literally success stories from it. I should do more of it actually, in terms of actually like maybe interviewing them and getting their story, because I feel like it will help a lot of people, especially if the ones that have been like in depression and stuff with anxiety and things like that.
Exactly. It helps you, like, yourself, like, you know, it makes you feel good about helping others.
Yeah.
And then that is like the higher purpose, I suppose. You know, helping people, that's like a one of the reasons why you're doing what you're doing, because you could just be meaninglessly making money. You know what I mean? So, and as you, carry on. Yeah,
because, you know, a lot of people want to go into social housing, and don't get me wrong, social housing is good. It's obviously good money as well. Can't deny that. However, you can't do it just for the money, because trust me, like, there's so much paperwork involved.
Yeah,
it's so intense. And if the council's really strict as well. So let's say, for instance, you've been a tenant for, let's say you could be a tenant for 2 years. If you have an audit and the tenant finds some paperwork and they realise actually you haven't been doing the job properly, guess what they do? They retract all the money. All that money that they've given you over the last 2 years, 3 years. There's people that I know that have had like £30,000.
Wow.
Yeah, like taken off them in one go, in 1 month, and you have to you've got to pay it. You haven't got a choice. So it's very serious, and also the regulations in terms of the house and the standards that the house had to be in is like top notch. Obviously, you heard me on the phone just a minute ago to one of my guys. It's like we're just refurbing the property, and everything has to be like, you can't cut any corners basically. And if you did, and obviously these are vulnerable people, so when you're dealing with vulnerable people, everything has to be correct. Like, if something happens and the council finds out, and the council does a random audit, and they can do that at any point, and there comes the property, it's like, it's game over. So it's nothing to be played with. So a lot of people say they want to get into it, which is good, because obviously you can make a big difference getting into social housing. However, you've got to be mentally prepared for what's to come and the work. It's the way I would explain it is, it's not a property strategy. A lot of people are selling it as a property strategy. It's not a property strategy. It's a business. It's a full-time, full-on business where you need lots of staff and lots of cogs need to be turned on a daily basis. Whereas professionals, the working professionals that I have, that's a property strategy. Like, I've got a property in Coventry. I've been there like twice this year. Like, really passive. It runs itself. There's 5 tenants in there, and that's a good thing with HMOs. It can be very passive, whereas social housing is like the total opposite. It's like every day you're on it.
I mean, I don't know that much about social housing, so is it like the council covers for the homeless people, the tenants?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
So the council will pay.
So is that the reason why they have so many checks and stuff in place, because they are paying for it? And
exactly.
They have to.
Exactly. And you know, when there's people involved, you get people trying to work the system and getting people that don't really need the support, don't really need the help, not really doing the job properly, not really keeping up to standards. So they're really cracking down. on them people and shutting down the providers as well. And there's so many providers. Since I've only been doing it a year, and like since I've been doing it, I've known quite a few providers that have had their business shut down.
Wow.
Because they haven't been compliant. So
the council, do they have like their own social housing as well, right? Because I've seen a lot on like Instagram and so on, the quality and the stuff with the standards, they're not meeting their own standards. So that's a bit, for me, that's a bit confusing. I don't know if you can talk about that. You know, like they own ones, like they have that are rented out to, you know, whoever it is. They're not, you know, there's been like issues reported and stuff, and they're not looking after the properties themselves. Is that like a common occurrence, or like?
Yeah, you get it all the time, man. But it's the ones that I've seen. I haven't personally seen any with the council. The ones that I've seen have been the providers.
Okay, with the providers, yeah.
And there's some horror stories, man. Like rats running around, no heating for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And you've never seen the support worker, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that they have the compliance and everything in place, so they can check it. So, you know, ensures that you're going to work to the correct standards, although you probably will anyway, but it's just there for them to make sure you are, and that it's adequate enough for anyone. But yeah, so you mentioned about your staff. So the house you got in Coventry, you said passive, you've been there a couple of times this year. So you have like staff overlooking. So what's kind of your like staff structure at the moment?
Yeah, cool. So essentially operations manager, admin, property sourcer, and then you've got myself and Ashley, my wife, who run the business with as well. And then the cleaning team, and you've got the maintenance team as well. But what we do, we go on the cleaning team and the maintenance team, we pull them in as like freelance, almost like a contract basis. And then the rest of them, they're on the books, like working. And that works really well. And what we do that, I mean, managing staff it's a hard thing, man. Like, that in itself, it's just like a full-time job, coaching, motivating, inspiring, ensure that they're doing their job, and you know, because you're paying them to do a job, so you know what you don't want to be doing is finding out that job's not getting done, and then you have to do it twice. You're paying them to do it, and you have to do it, so that happens quite a lot as well. So it's one of them ones where you've got to get them to understand the vision of the company, and the vision of the business, and with me. The way I do it and the way I keep my staff motivated is every member of staff's on commission. Like they all obviously get a basic wage, but they're all on commission, they're all on bonuses. And the reason why I do that is because they then get incentivized then. So when the business grows, they grow. Yep. You know what I mean? If I close another deal, everyone wins. You know what I mean? If we close another tenant, everyone wins. If we're doing the paperwork on time, we pass an audit with the council, and we get random audits all the time with the council. Like, it's just like, and they'll email me. They might email me today and say that you've got property inspection in 3 days' time. And it's like, bang, okay, we need to make sure it's all in it. If we fail that inspection, it's game over basically. So all that sort of stuff. So even for passing audits, if you pass an audit again, everyone wins. So it's a case of where we keep everyone motivated, and everyone understands, look, this is the direction we're going with. And we're all singing off the same hymn sheet. Like, we're, you know, the business is going to grow and it's going to flourish. Yeah,
I guess it's about cultivating the culture within the team. But if you have like someone that's falling out of line, or like they're not as motivated, like how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so it's just establishing, look, like, what's causing you, like, what's going on, like, it's causing you not to, you know, do your job essentially. And one of the things that I do with my staff as well, I ensure that I've got a very clear understanding of what motivates you, because every person has a different motivation. It might be family, it might be spending time, it might be money motivated, it might be recognition, it might be time. So once I understand what motivates them, what I'll do, their bonus structure and their commission structure will be based around what motivates them. It's very specific, and that's why I do it. So it motivates them, it's tailored towards them. So I tend to find that it's very rare when a staff member doesn't. It's very rare that they fall out of line, like, very badly, because I'm working with them to help them towards their goals, and I'm supporting and helping them towards their goals through their job. And I feel like if you can do that you'll then have a motivated team.
Spot on, to be honest. Like, it's curated towards their individual needs,
Yeah.
rather than if they're working in a big establishment, they're just doing a job and they're not motivated. They're just there, coming in every day,
Exactly.
doing the same thing over and over again, and they don't really care. They're just there for the paycheck. So I guess
Exactly.
it's more than a paycheck for them to be enjoying what they do.
100%. And like sometimes I get staff working at night. I'm thinking, wow, this is crazy. Like, and it's just so nice. Like that staff are working and they're motivated. But the reason why they're motivated because they know that if they hit certain targets, they're going to get bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also do like another target, whereas if you hit the target, you'll get a bonus on top of the bonus.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like I do things like that. So you tend to find out towards the end of the month, everyone's very motivated to get the job done. And the reality is, if there was on like a basic wage, there's no one that would be working like late at night or going the extra mile to to serve and to help people and to get the job done. But I put these measures in place so that it benefits the business.
Yeah. I mean, the sort of bonuses, I might have to join the team as well. If you're hiring.
come across, man.
But yeah, so if you had a lot of, you've got, how many team members did you say you had?
7 now.
7, yeah. So in that time, you must have had a few people that you hired and didn't work out.
Oh yeah.
How was that for you? Like a learning experience, and like how did you deal with that? And what kind of things, like, was it just that they didn't align with the vision, or?
Didn't align with the vision, and the reality is that not everyone's going to get it. One of the things that I've had to do is I've had to learn that not to throw people in the deep end as well. I feel like when I first started, because I'm an entrepreneur myself, and because I've got the mindset where it's like I'll just do whatever it takes to get a job done.
Yeah.
Like when I'm in the mode, I'll just work, but I can't expect everyone else to do that because the reality is it's not their business. So that no one's gonna be as motivated as me to like run the business and to get the job done. So yeah, it's just a case of, and again, what I said earlier regarding like motivating the team and helping them towards their vision and their own goals as well, and their financial goals as well. That helps. And to start off with, I wasn't really doing that. I was just trying to. If I'm being honest, I was cutting corners. I was looking for minimum wage staff.
Yeah.
And the issue is when you pay someone minimum wage, you get a minimum wage job done. That's what I tend to find. And that they were the ones that were giving me sort of the hassle. Whereas when I took a step back and thought, okay, what can I do to get better people? Well, I need to pay more. I need to offer more incentives. We're currently one of the things I'm doing now. We're currently looking to get like private healthcare for all the staff. So again, it's just like trying to do something that puts me on the level above. So like I'm attracting that sort of person that I need with experience. So when I started paying more for the staff, and I started seeing not as a cost, but almost like as a return investment, as an investment for the business, I was able to get better staff, and as a result, I was able to get a better job done as well. So that's what's worked well for me.
You said you got like operations manager and stuff. So what's like the next level for you now? Do you want to carry on like being so invested into it, or do you want to get to a level where you become like the chairman and you have like a CEO or whatever, hired person, and you can go out and whatever other dreams and aspirations you have that you want to pursue?
100%. For me, there's a bigger goal than just property. I definitely want to take a step back in the future. I feel like I'm just building at the moment. I'm looking at other things. I'm looking into like M&A, do like looking at business buying, looking at acquiring businesses. That's a great way of getting wealth as well. I want to do development. So next year, I'm actually gonna go less on the rent-to-rent side. Don't get me wrong, I'm still gonna grow it. Still gonna grow the social housing side of it, but I'm not gonna be actively looking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna mainly focus on development and mainly focus on buying businesses as well, and flipping businesses and things like that. So that's stuff that excites me as well. So my main aim now is just like sort of train someone up and get them to become almost like run the business, and eventually, who knows, get a CEO in.
Yeah,
and
I guess.
Get them. Hopefully they can take the business to even bigger as well, different level.
Yeah, it will be running itself then, and you just still your business, but it will be running itself with the processes and the people that you've spent a lot of time, invested a lot of time and effort into hiring the right people, getting the right processes in place, and then you're able to just take a step back from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like in terms of, you said you want to look into investing into businesses and acquiring businesses. Is there any like specific business that you are interested in?
We're looking at property stuff at the moment. So we're looking at care businesses. I'd even go as far as like construction.
Yeah.
We're looking at estate agents as well. I'm looking at acquiring businesses that have I've got at least like 10 to 15 years as well. Because the good thing is when you start a business, because one of the things starting a business is such a hard thing to do. You've got no staff, you've got no resources, a lot of time you've got no money, you're building it from scratch. And so many businesses fail in the first year. It's hard to get it off the ground. Whereas if you can get a business and you can buy one that's existing, it doesn't even have to be like a failing business. It could be a decent business, but it could be that the owner's retiring, something's happened where the owner is just not interested anymore, or just lost the love for it. Or you see it a lot where my dad bought a business about 10 years ago, and the dad who founded it, he passed away, so his kids inherited the business, but then they didn't have the love for it, or the vision, or the drive to sort of push it forward, stay in it. So situations like that, you can sort of help business owner. And if you believe in the product, believe in the service, and I've now got the business, I've now got the experience in sort of hiring staff, managing staff, leadership skills, the fundamentals of sales and marketing, and scaling the business. I can just use them same skills to another business, because once you've done it once, you find like that's what I love about business. Once you've done it once, you can do it again. It's the same process essentially.
Everything is already there and you've already learned how to do it.
Yeah.
So you can just take your skills and you'll have like a different vision and direction that you'll have like in yourself, and there will be a lot of things that you'll learn in a new business as well.
100%.
You'll make mistakes, so it's just how it is.
Yeah. But what I always say, like, the greatest asset is not actually what you get, it's who you become in the process. And that's what I love, and that's what I'm actually really excited when I go into like a new territory, and when I go into this next year in terms of developing. I know that I'm going to develop new skills, meet new people, and also push myself outside my comfort zone, and the person I become in the process will be more valuable than what the business could give me, essentially.
So we're almost out of time, but one more topic that I wanted to discuss, because you mentioned that you've been with your missus in the business and she's running it with you.
Yeah.
And I know that's for me personally, I found it a bit hard as well. And a lot of people that are like entrepreneurs, they it's hard for them to have someone that supports them in the right way, because it can affect you negatively and it can affect your work. So how have you found it, and how has it been for you, and what's the main things that have helped you achieve what you achieve with your partner being by your side?
I feel like when you've got a partner, they need to understand your vision. They should be helping and supporting you to your vision. They should be working with you, not against you.
Yep. And
especially when you're an entrepreneur, you've got to have a partner that understands that sometimes you're going to need to work. You need to be in the zone. Do you know what I mean? If you're at a meal, you might need to just answer a phone call, and I feel like entrepreneurs struggle to be with someone else that is not an entrepreneur as well. If you haven't got that sort of entrepreneurial mindset, you don't understand, then you've got sort of 9 to 5 mindset, which is fine if you've got a 9 to 5 mindset, but it's like being an entrepreneur, it's so much more involved. You can't switch off.
Yeah, you can't.
And you've got to have a partner who understands that and gets that. And I feel like because Ashley does, she gets it, she understands it, we work well together.
Someone could, theoretically, someone could still support you in that way, and they're still not an entrepreneur. They could be 9 to 5 job.
100%.
You could find someone like that.
Yeah, 100%. You can do, but I feel like it's harder.
Yeah, it's harder for them to understand. So
yeah,
in terms of that, do you find it it works both ways, where your wife, she might be more busy and you have to just accept it, kind of thing, from your side as well? If you're both entrepreneurs, that's how it's going to work.
Yeah,
right?
But the good thing is, because we're both in the same business, it's like we have different roles in the business. So my role is Ashley, she managed a lot of the support sessions and that side of the support workers, and just that whole that like I said, that social housing side of the business, it's a full-on business, so you need like a leader in that side. But really, that's like a whole separate business altogether. Whereas with me now, I manage the operations, the growth of the business, and the leadership overall the business as well. So we both have our separate roles in the business. We both understand as well, like you know, if she's got something she needs to do, I get it, and vice versa as well.
Okay, I mean, but that's quite interesting as well. Like, if she's in the same business with you, like, how do you guys cope with that? Like, separating that from your normal life. So obviously, you work together. You might not. I don't know how your business works. Like, you might not see each other that much at work, but like, then you go back home and you're together.
Yeah.
Like, you're always spending time with that person. Like, how does it affect you? Like, you know, and how do you deal with in case anything does go wrong? How do you address it, like at work? I mean, like if something does go wrong, like how do you differentiate that? Because she's obviously your wife, like, you know.
Yeah. So that's a really good question, actually. And I feel like it's understanding that you're both mature enough to, when it's work time, to put your differences aside and not let personal get in the way of work. I feel like you've got to have clear roles in the business as well. So you've got the accountability, and and I think that seems to work well for us. But because of the way the business is now and the size of the business, it's really weird. Like, although we work in the same business, sometimes I don't see her for the whole day. Yeah. But most days, actually, I don't see her because it's like we're both doing different things, and we'll meet up and then we'll have a meeting and we're back at it again. But when we first started, it was a case of like, okay, we're both building it together. We're both going out there, closing deals together, and I mean, as it sort of got bigger, we both sort of went our separate directions within the business, but obviously the same, even though separate directions, but separate areas. But then we're going the same direction in terms of like where the growth of the business and the direction we want the business, the overall direction we want the business to go in. So, answer to your question, I feel like having established clear roles within the business, that sort of helps the relationship. Yeah,
like boundaries. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. But like, has it personally for you, has it always been that easy, or was it when you began like with the business, with the like difficult things? And do you feel like because of her, she's helped you become where you are now? Like, it's benefited you, like if you're on your own?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's definitely benefited me, because it's like sometimes you need someone to talk to. And it's nice having someone who gets it. Like, if I want to have a rant about something, it's nice having someone who gets it. But if she didn't work in the business, I'd be like talking to a brick wall, basically. Yeah. And you need, as a leader, you need that person who just gets it and understands it. And you know, it has been hard. Like, if you're having hard times in the business or you're having hard times personally, it gets very it can get very awkward. But as I said, it's about being mature enough to understand, like, we're not going to let, you know, each one or each other or each thing that's going on affect the business or vice versa. And also as well, like, we've got 2 kids, so like for me, I do this. We both do this for the kids. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that's like our like mutual motivation as well. So when we're both working, we know, like, you know what, like, we have to put our differences aside, because we're not doing this for us, but there's a bigger picture. We're doing this for the kids, we're doing this for the family. And when you've got a big vision like that, and you know where you're going, it puts everything into perspective.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, you know, you're working towards the same goals, and you said you have 2 kids. So that's another thing that I want to talk about. How do you manage that? Like, you've got 2 kids. How do you like work around that if you're both working? Like, you know.
Oh, it's really hard, mate, to be honest with you. And I don't know if I have quite figured it out yet. Because I know a lot of people talk about a work-life balance, but to be honest with you, I don't know if a work-life balance really exists. All I know is that we're working and we're trying to create a balance. What we do a lot, though, which really helps, is we get the kids involved with the business. So the kids are heavily involved. Like, they understand the business inside and out. Get them involved from a young age as well. So they feel involved. We even, like, you know, sometimes we even get the kids like choose colour schemes in the house, get a new house, like get their opinion on things, like little things that gets them excited. And let's say, for instance, we incorporate business and pleasure. Like if I've got a meeting in London with someone, with a client or whatever, I'll bring the kids with me.
Yeah.
And then we'll turn it into like a day out as well, turn into like a family day. So that's a way that we're able to sort of get that some sort of balance, or else it would just be to work.
Yeah.
But I feel like the key to it as well is having fun with it, man. Like try and make work fun. Like for me, this is my life. This is a lifestyle. This is not a 9 to 5. This is not. It's just a 24-hour thing for me. Like it's just I literally all the days roll into one for me. And that's fine because I really enjoy it. It doesn't feel like work to me. It genuinely doesn't feel like work to me. So it's just understanding how to make it fun and also ensure that we are taking that time out for the kids as well. So we do have the time where we do go out a lot, and we have fun, and we go for days out and things like that, and we make sure that we're incorporating it. And also as well, holidays. Like I love holidays, man. Like yeah. Like next year, we've already said like every half term when the kids are off, we'll be away.
Yeah.
Like 6 weeks, we'll be away for the whole 6 weeks. Christmas and Easter, we'll be away. So like little things like we work hard, but then for me, it's like having that balance of knowing when to sort of switch off as well. Yeah. And that's one of the things that we're trying to implement.
But you wouldn't fully ever switch off. You'd still be there on holiday on your phone.
Even holiday, I'm going to Dubai on Sunday, and like I know that even there it's that's a work trip. Like it's still working, and still things need to be happening, deals need to be closed and things like that. So we've still got targets that we need to hit, man. So I can't ever switch off. Man.
Yeah,
it's just,
exactly. I mean, if it doesn't feel like work, then that's exactly what you need, and it's integrating your like kids and everything that you said into the lifestyle, because you can't really separate it. Like it would be really difficult for you to keep your work to yourself and then focus on each other. Like it's better to just like integrate. And the thing you mentioned about going to London and going to these places, which is why I've always imagined like in the future when I have children, like if I'm going somewhere, I'll just take them with me. Like,
take them with you, exactly. And you know what's mad as well? Like we tell the kids the vision, so the kids understand what's going on in the business. They understand where we're going. They understand how it's going to benefit them in the future. So they get excited. Like when we tell them like this is the plans, or this is what's going to happen next year, or do you know what I mean? So they're almost like pumped for it and ready for it as well. Yeah. So they're just aligned with it as well. So it's a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, they're already going to have the entrepreneur genes in them anyway. So they're working towards that. Yeah. But that's all we've got time for today. I appreciate you coming down speaking about all the topics that we discussed. I know brought a lot of interesting things for our viewers to pick up on. Yeah. But I guess it's time for me to show you around this building now.
Yeah, man.
But thank you for being my guest today.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
So thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this episode. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Visionation _. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on this video, and share with a friend if you've gained any knowledge from this. Thank you.